So let me start with a basic question for me before we get to the nitty-gritties of this number, the first quarter growth GDP numbers. I've been for a while confused by, and I imagine that many people in my position, humanities majors, may be battling with this difference between quarter on quarter GDP, 1.1% number that we are citing, and this 4% figure that we are citing annualized. Which one do we pay attention to, Sfiso?
It's both. I think the one, so when you're looking at annualized numbers, in essence, you're saying, if we continue the way we're currently growing, what would be the GDP at the end of the year? So it gives you a sense of trend and how to think about what changes could mean for that trend. I think the quarter on quarter, what it does, it just looks and says, where were we a quarter ago and where are we now, and what's the difference, what's changed, and what can that tell us again around the immediate pressure points that we've got. And then there's also one other, which is year on year. And so this time compared to last year, how was it? Because sometimes there's seasonality, and so you know that in December people buy a lot of things, etc. And so if you look at fourth quarter and first quarter, you might see those numbers looking worse. But if you compare first quarter and the previous first quarter, it enables you to have a sense of this time last year, what was the performance like?
So if we break down then and put a story to the numbers we are seeing right now, is it correct then to read the numbers as saying that in the first 3 months of 2021, the economy, production, GDP grew by 1.1%, but if we continue on this trajectory, the economy should grow by about 4.6% over the period of 2021?
Yes, that's exactly how it is articulated.
All right, I got this. Finally, the humanities major in me catching up. Sfiso, this story of this 1.1% growth in the first quarter then, is it something for us to be hopeful about or even to celebrate? Is it pointing us to what you economists like to call green shoots in the economy?
It certainly, I think, points to some of the green shoots and certainly points to some of the bigger issues that we've got structurally in the economy. Starting with the challenges, I think what it's showing us is that growth came, mostly on the back of a rise in commodity prices, and that benefited the mining sector a lot. And then outside of that, the only growth, or material growth we saw was really coming out of the financial services sector and wholesale trade. And then when you unpack that and say what's happened in wholesale trade and financial services, I think you'll see e-commerce numbers now up by 85% year on year. Those are bank-served numbers that have come out talking about the role of e-commerce in terms of driving new green shoots of opportunities in the economy, and that's had implications for the transport sector. I think that's grown by 4.8%, I think. And that's certainly been one of the things. Electricity continues to be a challenge, and that's dragging that sector down, and availability has got implications for all the other high intensive energy users, which are in manufacturing as well as mining. And so we've got challenges, one being posed by reliability of energy supply. We've got challenges being posed by the fact that the sectors that are growing are not labor intensive sectors. But I think it also tells us that we can reimagine different types of growth because of this digitalization that's really now become a main feature in the way in which we operate.
And if you are in the decision-making and policy-making space, looking at these numbers, what are some of the decisions that you should be taking, given the breakdown that you've given in the performance of the various sectors? What do you need to do more of, and what do you need to do less of as a policy maker, policy implementer?
Certainly, I would accelerate the budget or increase the budget that is currently earmarked and how they're going to help bring back the construction sector. It takes a while to get those projects bankable. And so the step before that is what we call project preparation. If we bolster that now to make sure that these infrastructure projects become financially viable and bankable quicker, and therefore I think that infrastructure play as a big economic growth driver certainly can come through. It's certainly one of the things I would do. And then looking specifically, I think, with issues that are related to the challenges the young people are facing. There is a draft bill now with the Department of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, but we've really got to think about sustainable ways of supporting SME growth. We've looked at models of, for example, localized, leveraging procurement as an enabler for driving market discovery and market access for small businesses. So certainly from a policy point of view, I would be looking and say, how do I increase the propensity of a small business to grow quickly and grow sustainably? And I think that's the kind of sector that will really absorb, I think, the young and energetic and passionate young people, but also then our investment into knowledge economy and what we often speak of as GERD, right? Gross expenditure and research and development. The guidelines as per NDP is that ought to be at about 1.5% of GDP. As it stands, it is at about 0.7% of GDP, and it means we're not investing into innovation. We're not investing into research and development, and therefore we're going to get left behind. And the young people are the ones with these ideas, with these, really sharp innovations that then we can, test, prototype, and really scale them to create really, interesting growth opportunities in how we compete globally. So from a GERD point of view, gross expenditure and research and development, from a policy point of view, I'd also ensure that the science and technology work that's happening there really gets intensified.
Always appreciate your clear and precise insights, Sriso Skenjana there, weighing in on the GDP numbers that have come out and making sense of it all for you and I.